part 3. And in part 3, I'm going to do a demo, but I'm also going to show you some of the things that we talked about in part 2. So we're going to do a product setup, product demo, we're going to look at the portal participant list page, we're going to look at the test workflow and the contact capture. So let's go and set up branding, logo, color, language, and all of those things. So you'll have been given a SHOEBOX login, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here is my login. I'm going to log into SHOEBOX Online. So to get to this page, I would go to settings, I would scroll down here to online test, and I'd go to test profile. So in here, there are different sections that you can set up, and what we'll do is we'll talk through each section. So if you want to change any of these tiles, and they're just showing me what is active right now, you can go up to this little button called edit. So click on edit. We could select a new file for a logo and upload the logo. We could change the color. So changing the color would be, as simple as, here we go, we just change that to blue. And again, it shows you what the colors look like of the buttons. Also from your marketing company, you have the RGB code. You can just fill those in here. Here you have contact capture. So you can turn it off. When you turn it on, it's going to remind you that you're collecting personal information about somebody. So it's just reminding you of your obligations, and you can click I agree. We can then turn on the results call to action button. So if we turn that on, and at the moment I have mine just set to learn more because it's a demo. And when you click that, it would take you to shoebox.md. But you could have, this could be shoebox.md/booking, and then it would take you to a page all about booking. And lastly, I have notifications turned on. So this is when the test is completed, I'll get a notification, and if they left their contact information, that information will actually be left in that email direct to you so that you can follow up with that patient immediately. So we're really trying to give you the tools to engage with people when they're thinking about it, not 4 hours later or two or 3 days later. They're curious right now, let's help them. So after you've changed all of those settings, you can go up here and you can click save. So the one thing I probably didn't talk about was this is your URL, so shoeboxonline.com, and mine's currently test demo 1 because I'm doing a test. But the first thing that you should do when you get SHOEBOX Online is you should come in here and you should decide, this is a URL, this is your URL, and you should pick something that is memorable. It will be set to your company name, so you probably will leave it at that, but if you wanted something slightly different or slightly shorter, please do change it and save it. If you do change it in the future, the old link will not work anymore. So think about what you want that link to be. So we're going to click save, and if you just want to have a quick preview of the test, you can click view test here. But we'll come and do that in a second. So I'm also going to go to language. So if we go to language, you can currently see that I've got English enabled. But if I went here and I clicked edit, I could add any number of these languages. So maybe I will add French. And then there isn't much customizable content, but the call to action button at the end is customizable. So if you need to customize that in 11 languages, you can download a CSV here, and you can upload the 11 different versions of that language. So I'm just going to click save. And then the final thing would be going into company information. So the company information will be included in a privacy policy. When people enter contact information, you have to explain to them what privacy policy is and how you would processing their information. It's an obligation under CASL, under GDPR, and many other countries that deal with data privacy. So we process the data on your behalf. All of the data is yours, and we process it on your behalf. And we wanted to make it really simple and easy to allow you to just turn this on and not worry about the hard legal jargon. So we've done all the hard work for you. All you have to do is you have to come in here and you put in your company name, your address, and your details, and then you click save, and they will be stored along with the privacy policy, and I'll show you where those details are. So if we go back to test profile, I'm going to click view test, and our test is going to launch. You can see here it says test demo 1. So if you don't have languages turned on, you just have one language, this modal will not appear, this pop-up will not appear, and it would go straight into the test. But because we have set 2 languages, I can now go in here as a user and I could select one of 2 languages. I'm going to stick with English for now, so let's click OK. So you can see here that my logo is here, I've chosen my colour, which is purple, so we can continue on with check my hearing. And as I said, we've tried to make this really simple, so I'll explain to you how this works. We're going to tell the user what's going to happen. So we're going to ask some simple questions, we're going to check the hearing, then we're going to review their results. So we ask a little bit of information about who they are, what their age is, and then they can move on to starting the questionnaire. And here the dynamic questionnaire is really looking at what type of hearing loss do they feel they have and what are the things that impact them the most. All these results will be stored in the portal and you will be able to review them, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to say I have some trouble in conversations in quiet environments. Yeah, occasionally people mumble. Do I find it hard to have conversations on the phone? Pretty good. Do you find it hard to follow conversations in noisy environments? Yes, occasionally. Has anyone suggested you may have hearing loss? No, not yet. Do you feel like one ear is significantly better than the other? They're both about the same. Who do you have the most trouble hearing? I don't think I have any difficulty. Have you thought about how you might deal with these troubles? And not at the moment. And I don't know. So we've now asked some questions. We're now going to do the setup, and we talked about the transducer and device compensation. So here we're asking the patient to give us a little bit more information about the setup. So I'm going to say I have some over-ear headphones and they're connected by a wire. We're now going to ask the user to set their volume to 100%. So that we have a better idea of exactly what volume is being played. We do reduce the volume of all the files that we play slightly to ensure that even with a max sound, we're not going to be getting anywhere near dangerous levels. You also have the added value of consumer electronics. Have max values, and they're all regulated by the FDA and the EU, so that really playing something too loud is not something that's going to happen. We then ask people to play test audio, and we'll play it out of the right ear. So if they have their headphones on the wrong way around, we'll know that they have their headphones on the wrong way around. We don't need to tell them, we just swap the audio. So let's start my hearing check. We then start with the dynamic range questionnaire, and this looks at the most comfortable level and the lowest level they can hear. And we use speech here because we want a multi-frequency spectrum when we're looking at this. We then go into the tone test, and here we're going to be looking at tones. So I'm just going to go through the test, and I'm going to give myself good hearing on one ear, and then I'm going to give myself hearing loss in the other ear, so we can just see the differences once we get into the results. And if you'd like to experience what this test is like, you can just go to SHOEBOX.md and you can take yourself through this. At the end of the test, we pause here and we ask the user to return their volume down. We want to make sure that, next time they take their phone call or they listen to music or they get a notification, they have corrected their volume because we did ask them to turn their volume up. We even tell people how to turn their volume up and down. My system knows I'm on a Mac, so it's giving me that, but if you're on a smartphone, it would give you instructions for a smartphone as well. So I can say I've lowered my volume, and now you can see here, we've landed on the results page, and as you can see, I have good hearing in one ear, but I have some hearing loss in the other ear. We talk about what you could be missing out on, and then we get here where you can put in your contact information. And I can submit this and I'll give an email. So if we look at the privacy policy, when I talked about, we've written all the privacy policy for you, but you must put in your details. So you are the controller of the information, and you can see here, these are the details that I put in the portal, which allows you to have a really clear privacy policy, which is true to what the data is happening to the data, and it's easy for you to implement. So I'll submit that, and I would get an email requesting that Finn Allen has requested an appointment. We can then scroll down here, and you can see, how getting help can improve my hearing. So we can see that, on one ear, I have good hearing, but on the other ear, there's definitely some potential improvement from a hearing device, and this is where I can really, contact you to support me in learning what that might be. And then here, you can see that I had created my call to action button that says learn more, but yours could say book now, and it could take you to a booking page, or it could take you to learn more about hearing devices, or learn more about the impacts of hearing loss. So when I click learn more, it's going to take me to SHOEBOX.md, which I talked about before. So that is the SHOEBOX Online test, and that is how you can place it on your website, and you can engage with more patients. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, if we go back to the two flows, so we've just gone through placing the product on your website, how somebody might go through that test, the information that they might get from that. The next thing to think about is, if you want to send someone a direct link, how might you do that, and what might it look like? So when you have a test, we have up here, we have SHOEBOXonline.com/testdemo1. And now what I'm going to talk you through is something called reference ID. And this allows you to tag a result with a unique identifier. So you may be using a specific CRM, and your patients may have test IDs, and you can maybe use those because they would be anonymous. So you can see here, if we go to, this is our SHOEBOX help site, it's going to talk you through what a reference ID is and how to apply a reference ID. So you can see here, to apply a reference ID, this would be your company name, which mine is test ID 1, and then you could place ref ID plus a unique identifier at the end of the test. So let's go and have a look at this. So what we have here is we now have test demo 1 question mark ref ID equals 123. So now if I completed this test, when I complete the test, with the result will be stored a reference ID of 123. So what I could do is I could email this to somebody. I could copy and paste this, and I could email it to somebody, and when they take that test, this reference ID will be stored against it. So if we go and look at the participants, and to go and look at any time somebody completes, you can have a full list of everyone who's completed the test. You can go to participants here, there is the online test, and it will load the different columns here, and you can see that, if somebody doesn't fill in the contact detail, they're named anonymous. But what we can do here is we can just change a couple of these settings. So maybe we want name here, email address, and then save that. And then we could rearrange these. You can see here, some of the times when I filled in my details, you can actually see my name's been filled in here. But if you wanted to find the reference ID, what we'll do is we'll export the results, and I'll just go through these results with you. So if you've emailed the results to somebody, then the reference ID, you do get the answers to and the questions, so you can really look into what and how their hearing loss is impacting them. But if we scroll all the way along to the end, there is a column called reference ID. I've got a couple of tests here. So, maybe you sent someone a reference ID of 999 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You would know that this is the patient that that you spoke to this morning that said they'd completed the test. So you could scroll along here and you could say, okay, let's have a look at the different categories. You could look at, they've got significant hearing loss, and then we also provide you with some more detailed results, but I must remind you that SHOEBOX Online is not a diagnostic hearing test, therefore the following values presented here are not threshold values. Rather, these values are estimates of hearing level based on the lowest sound a participant could hear using the headphones and devices they own. So we do a lot of work in the background to try and get screening accuracy as close as we can. We want to give you all the details we can, but as you know, we're not in a booth. We're not doing modified Houston West-like approach, so they're not threshold. So let me take you through some of these details. So here we have the results category that we placed them in, and this is both ear specific for the left ear and the right ear. We then look at overall score. So a score of 100 would be really good hearing, a score of 0 would be significant loss, and we just plot people along that spectrum to give people a really good idea of just ear level of where they are. We're then going to look at, I said we did most comfortable level and the lowest level someone could hear, and we use speech because it's a broad spectrum of speech. So we also give you, the values for their most comfortable level and their lowest level of speech they could hear. We also do a tone test, so we do 1K, 2K, 4K and 6K on the left ear and the right ear, and we also give you those tone values as well. We then move on to the questions, and we give you every question, so how would you describe your hearing, and then I have a lot of trouble. So we also give you all of those results, and you can phone somebody back knowing their reference ID, or if they filled in their contact details, which I have done here, you would know who that patient was, and you can call them back and you can engage with them and talk to them about their results. So that is SHOEBOX Online. It's a brand new revolutionary online screening test that allows you to test participants' hearing, engage with them, and help them on that hearing health journey, all without coming into your clinic. You can really support them in that first step. I would love to hear from you if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, or please do reach out to me and I can support you in making this part of your practice. Thank you.